Good evening, everyone. I'll call the Springs Municipal Advisory Council meeting to order at 6:30 on June 14th, 2023. We have Spanish interpretation available. Hay interpretación disponible. Si hay alguien que necesita un audífono, están disponibles en la mesa al lado de la puerta. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí esta noche con nosotros. Thank you all for being here with us this evening. Joe, would you like to take roll, please? Thank you.
Councilmember Alcaraz. Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Councilmember Reyes. Not currently here. Councilmember Lombard. Councilmember Winders.
Present.
Vice Chair Hardiman is here and Chair Iturri.
Here.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. So just a reminder that we ask the council members to participate this evening and that we take turns and allow equal participation. We'll be going through some agreements about possible norms for operation later on in the agenda. I also want to thank KSVY for broadcasting and tech support. Again, Lynn Marie, always for minute taking. Thanks to SVUSD for the space. Our interpreters, Carlos Radillo and Betsy Chavez, the awesome team in the back for our Spanish language listeners. So if I can get, are there any, we'll move on to item 2. And again, to also big thank you to, although Karina never writes it down here, Karina, thank you. And Supervisor Gorin's office. So we'll move on to item 2. Approval of the minutes from the May 10th meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? Hearing none. I'm going to get a motion to approve the minutes. Jesus first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Iris?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hi, Maria Carmen. Aw.
It's not today.
Oh, thanks, Maria Carmen. Okay, public comment. So the council hears public comment on items not on the agenda. Times will change depending on the number of hands we have of folks wanting to speak. We'll take public comment in person first, then we'll move on to Zoom. I see you, Mr. Larson. Then we'll do a 10-second countdown to make sure that we get anyone who might have a final thought or comment. And just a reminder, when we're doing public comment, that you're speaking to the council so that you're facing us. We're not speaking to the presenters or the audience, you're speaking to the council. And just a reminder that we want to respect this space and people's ability to speak here without people feeling intimidated or anything else. So we would really appreciate that we treat each other with this respect and dignity in this space. So we'll start with public comment on items not on the agenda. Mr. Larson, if you'd step to the podium, thank you.
I made Chair Terry for the members of the public that are watching on Zoom. If you could use the raise hand feature, please, so we can have a count and then we will assign the time.
Thank you, Karina.
Hi, Greg Larson, Sonoma Springs resident. Over the last month or so, I've been corresponding with Sue Gorin and the people in Sonoma County. that have
Mr.
to
Larson,
do it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you give me a sec? Let me get the timer correctly on the screen.
What
Give
am
me
I doing?
1 second, please.
What? Hold on.
Hold on.
No, it's us. Yeah.
All right. Hey, sounds good to me. What's that again? Okay.
Let's redo
Is that
this.
better?
Yes.
All right. There
Okay,
you go.
so-
Thank you.
I have been corresponding with our county supervisor and some people from her team about the condition of the roads in the springs. They're a terrible disaster. I asked some questions on, how do they regulate and allocate money to be done? So it's all done based on miles of roads. And I said, well, how many miles of roads are in District 1? And out of the 3 funding units, there's our gas tax, SB 1, which doubles the gas tax, and Measure M, which we voted in, which is a quarter sales tax to improve our local streets and potholes. So out of those 4 questions, I never got any answers. And then to me, it seems like they should just walk over and be able to push the button and say, here's the roads we're working on. Here's how much money we spend on these roads. Here's the companies that we've hired. And here's the miles of roads that are in District 1. I asked those questions. Nobody's answering them. They are just a dead end street. And to me, it raises, the question is, why can't they answer these questions? Why can't they say, hey, here it is, we're working on it, and it just dead ends. So I think that the council should take this up, and we should have our county supervisor here. We should have the head of transportation and infrastructure here, and the treasurer here of the county to explain to us where our tax dollars are going, because they're not paving our roads in the springs. They patch and patch and patch, and that's all they do. I want our roads paved. We deserve that. We need our fair share of our tax dollars being spent to be spent on where we live. And that's about it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. I'm in the yellow shirt. Go ahead. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know who you are.
I'm Kathy Gergich, and I live in the Springs also, and along the same issue. We have lived on Highland Boulevard for 36 years and seen it fall apart year after year, rain after rain, pothole after pothole, patch after patch. It truly, I took pictures after their last drop of black piles as we followed them around the neighborhood, because my granddaughter was trying to ride her tricycle, and it was a mess. And I asked one of the gentlemen, I said, please tell me we're going to get some paved roads someday. And he said, I'm sorry, you're not. He said that to me. So it really, that struck me that all the, that's a well-traveled road. Many people they want to, 12 is busy, and they zoom around Highland to beat it and come out ahead. And it's a well-traveled road, very busy. And for me personally, and my family and my neighbors, and the value of my neighborhood beauty, it's so ugly. And so many people that come to visit us comment, what is up with your roads? Just getting to my house, and that's all. It's just sad. And I just wanted to voice my opinion on that. I would like to walk it at night with my friends on our night walks and not worry about where we're going to step or trip, and to be able to take my grandchildren on their tricycles and scooters without lumps, bumps, and grandma, it's too bumpy. It's too bumpy. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Christy Brinley, and I'm here tonight to share a community-wide event with everyone. I'm representing the Just One Mike Foundation, which is a nonprofit that is a heart advocate for youth and young adults. It's the foundation our family created to honor the life of our son, Michael, who passed from sudden cardiac arrest in 2016. You might recognize the name from the AED donation last summer that helped save a young man's life behind the high school. But we are really excited to bring the first ever cardiac screening to Sonoma Valley. And I really just want to share that with everybody and ask you to help me share this, as we're relatively new residents here. We don't have deep roots, just 3 years in the Sonoma Valley. But I will leave flyers both in English and in Spanish, and some cards on the table in the back. Basically, this is a free EKG testing for youth and young adults in Sonoma Valley, 12 to 25 years old. It's simple, a 12 lead, little sticky, non-invasive EKG that can help detect between 85 and 90% of hidden heart conditions that none of us know our children have, because this is not a routine test in our standard child care. And it can save a life. These are life-saving days. We've done this back in Illinois where we raised our family. We've been involved in screenings now here in California in the San Jose area. And at each screening, if there are enough kids that come through, the numbers come out to 1 in 300 youth have a hidden heart condition that's undetected and unknown. So I'm really just trying to, raise awareness to this and give you an update. Right now, it's being held at the Hannah Center on Saturday, July 15th. Registration is required. All the information is on this sheet. You can go to the Just One Mic website. What's really unique about this is there's 2 other foundations joining us. They are just like ours. They've each lost a child, and these groups are specialists in the screening process. So we've got 3 families honoring 3 boys coming together to, I hope, save more lives here in our community. So thank you for your time and for helping us spread the word on this really important day.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Suzanne Ring, and I wanted to share some news. The community garden down at Larson's, we're just about ready to put in the pollinator garden, and we're starting the monarch butterfly way station. So we're really excited about that and working with the community. And we also spoke with the Ecology Center. We're trying to get classes for kids and good, healthy activities and education. And so that's happening. And along with that, we're starting a Duchesne Avenue Friends of Larson's group, but I don't know technically like if it's like a legal group or whatever. We're just getting names. And we'd like to be involved and help out with some of the planning on some of the events. I left message with Lupe. I think she's the community liaison now. Haven't heard back, but I think that we have some good opportunities coming forward to get some good, healthy activities down there and fun, and that are work for the neighborhood too, and include all the members of the community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from the audience? Online, I see we have Gary from Sonoma Valley Fire.
Gary, if you can hear us, if you can
Okay.
unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. go
Yes.
ahead.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for letting me talk tonight. Couple things going on. Weed abatement has started and defensible space inspections, mainly on Temelec and on the west side of Arnold Drive, coming all the way up to Boyce Boulevard. So that has begun. Weed abatement should be done by tomorrow. So if you haven't mowed your weeds, you should have them get going on mowing your weeds. Again, try to mow before 10 o'clock in the morning before it starts drying out. Tomorrow we do have a special event being held at Freedman Brothers at 9:30 for the Freedman Brothers employees that saved a gentleman's life with an AED at Freedman Brothers. So that event's at 9:30 tomorrow. There is also, we just received our new Type 3 wildland firefighting engine for our Agua Caliente station at Station 3 there on the highway at Agua Caliente Road. We will be announcing a date for everybody to come and check it out. So that'll be coming. And then for our Firemen's Association, our 4th of July event is starting to ramp up. Obviously, 4th of July is right around the corner. We're still seeking volunteers, and you can go to sonomavolunteerfirefighters.org to volunteer to help us out for that day. And also be on the lookout for new street closures potentially this year. around the launch site of Vallejo's home, we're talking about shutting down West Main Street from 8 p.m. to about 11:30 p.m. To provide more public safety for crossing the street and less vehicle traffic on West Main during the fireworks show. That's all I have. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Gary. Any other comments from, it looks like that's it. Okay. Okay, so a little bit of an update. Thank you to all who participated in public comment. We think that's one of the most important things we do here. So thank you. Okay, so we have 2 vacancies on the MAC. They are the alternate seats. We encourage people who live in the Springs to apply. You can come to this awesome meeting once a month on Wednesdays and spend your time with us. So we'd really like to have a couple more members because we have a lot to get done. So I was invited to present to the Sonoma Collective today, and along with David Gorin, I think his name is, from the new city manager. And we talked a little bit about affordable housing from the city side, what we need in the Springs. Roads were a big part of the conversation. Just to have a healthy and vibrant community. So it was good conversation. And the group of representatives on this council are interested in supporting, definitely supporting affordable housing. So that is one of their main focuses. So it was an interesting opportunity to get to connect with people in the Valley. Our fiscal year is coming to an end. So we are suggesting that we may have to have a special meeting for our budget. And that will come up in future agenda items. Also, as we know, it's Iris's birthday. So happy birthday, Iris. I also just want to make a suggestion to the council. And we're a really small body of individuals trying to do a whole lot. We're not a decision-making body, but we are the worker bees of the Springs. And we have taken on a lot. So I'm going to make a suggestion, and I'll bring this back up for future agenda items, that we start to prioritize some of the things that we're doing, because I think we have 6 or 7 ad hocs running right now. And where can we best use our time and be as efficient as possible? I've always, when I was an elementary school principal, in my job, in my work now, we try to set some attainable goals, achieve them, and move on to the next ones, because otherwise people feel unsuccessful. And we don't want that to happen. So I don't know where we'll fit this in, but I'll bring it up again at future agenda items, that it may be an agenda item that we try to prioritize some of the things that we put our energy into. I know emergency preparedness is really an important topic for us, and road safety and public art are kind of the 3 that have risen to the top for me, but there may be other suggestions as well. But just to be thinking about, we just want to be successful in what we're able to accomplish. So thank you all for being here. And I think we have Supervisor Gorin is on she's in the Zoom room. So I think she has an update for us.
Hi, everyone. And I just wanted to echo Maite's comments. You are amazing, and you're taking on a lot to represent the community and to add your voice to some of the projects that are important to the Springs. So well done all. And then you'll have a conversation on how to prioritize and pare it down. I'm so sorry I'm not there in person. We worked really hard on the budget this weekend and this week, and maybe it's fatigue related, but I woke up dizzy and with chills, and I said, I'm not going to get into a car and drive down there. So my report is, yay, we do have a budget at the county. And it was probably record time. We really need to credit the budget team of the new CAO, Christina Rivera and Peter Brulin and Natalie Brunamonte, for the great work on the budget, as well as all of the departments. So it was well organized, well presented, and we were able to add back just about every departmental request for add backs. And we're nearing the end of our negotiations with all of our bargaining units. And pretty soon the last of them will come forward, I think maybe the second week in July. So it will be great when we can do a hip hip hooray that we've completed negotiations, and all of the bargaining units are about the same level of compensation with 3 years of COLAs. I think it's 5, 4, and 3, or it could vary with some variations in there. So I want to thank all of the hardworking folks at the county and certainly the hardworking folks of the board. There's an article coming out in today's paper about, well, we may have had some elbows out during the budget hearings, but yeah, that always happens. So we were able to have enough funding, year-end funding, to put a big chunk of money down for the Tierra de Rosas long-awaited project in Roseland. And it has been on the books, going through various community conversations and negotiations with the city and the county. $7.7 million for that project. We hope that the city is going to contribute an equal amount or concessions so that we can get a lot of affordable housing and a plaza off the ground. But it meant that the other districts may not really enjoy the benefits of that project, as important as it is. So we took some funding out of the budget that we were going to put into general fund reserves and pension pay down. We're still going to be doing that, but we were able to carve out about $4 million for each of the other 4 districts. And you'll be very pleased to know that we, with this infusion of funds for next year, we'll be able to have enough funds to renovate Larson Park. So this is long awaited, and I know Celeste is going to be grateful to hear this and comment on this. And so I need to talk to Parks to figure out when the request for a bid will go out. But I hope that we can start the renovations maybe this year, early next year. And that's been very exciting for me and for you. Long time coming, and I'm so excited to have the extra funds to do that. But there are a number of other priorities that I have, and so we'll see how far that funding stretches to accomplish a couple of the other priorities in the springs primarily. But I was disappointed that the board did not understand how important it is to have sustainable funding for bike lanes and bike paths. We are an island of great bike lanes and paths in the city that don't really extend out from much beyond the city. So I keep working on it, and maybe that little bit of funding can be used in a very specific way to advance some projects, but I've yet to have those conversations. So the good news is Friday, we come back and officially move all the documents. And I know you were talking about how important roads are. We did add $5 million into our roads budget. So maybe we can look at some of the roads in the Springs area that are just desperately in needed paving. Again, I've not talked with SoCoPi about this, and so that information will be coming forward. But a lot of paving projects are happening this year and the next 2 years, and yet still we have a lot of folks in the community coming to us asking, pleading for the roads to be repaved. And I do understand that and thank them for their advocacy and maybe some patience. And I really want to thank the MAC, the 2 MACs, for your prioritization of roads, because we've included your priorities into the paving program over the next 2 years. or the next 4 years in phases. So your efforts were not in vain, but there are a lot more roads in the Springs that we need to work on. So that's my report. We're going to take a healthy break. I'm doing a little vacation, and then in July, traveling to NACO, National Association of Counties, in Austin, Texas. I'm anxious to see the splendor of Austin in the middle of July. It's going to be so much fun walking around on the hot streets in a hot city. But I'm excited about that and look forward to working with all of you in the month or 2 or 3 ahead. Thank you all.
Thank you, Susan. Can you take some comments from council and the public?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Celeste, would you like to say something?
I'm so excited for potties in Larson Park and all the other great things that come with it, but really seriously, potties. Can I like cut a ribbon for the potty? I just want to throw that out there that I'm making that request when the time comes.
I will note that for the future, Celeste.
But I'm really, really excited. Our community has waited a really long time for these improvements in Larson. It is a really special place, and I'm really glad to see that it's finally going to get the love and attention that it deserves, and that our community is going to receive that love and attention and message. So thank you to the Board of Supervisors for that, and I look forward to the first day of the new potty.
Nothing else, just a potty.
Green grass would be good too, but potty's a good start. Any other comments from council? Thank you, Supervisor Gorin, for your work in making all that happen. That's awesome. And good to hear about the road budget as well. Are there comments from the public in the audience or online? I see online at least. Mr. Larson.
Chair Iturri, how much time?
Looks like 3 minutes is good.
Hi. I'm just wondering that we are not going to go forward with a plaza, and there was $2 million allocated for the plaza. And suggestions were brought up about putting that money into Larson's Park. So where is that money going now that we're not going to put it into a plaza?
There'll be a ad hoc update later on about the plaza. So there'll be a little more information coming forward. Anyone else? Susan, do you want to answer that?
Thanks, Greg. And I know that you, Maite, and I had a conversation this weekend. There is some progress being made by the county on understanding and working on some of the infrastructure for a future community plaza. So I fully expect to use those funds in the next year or 2, and certainly will involve the community to help design it once we've clarified how this project and this land might move forward and be used.
Thank you.
Just quickly, I'm thrilled to hear about Larson Park too. I think that's amazing. And I just want to put a bug in your ear when you're looking at funding and hoping that an outdoor publicly accessible AED station will be a consideration for some of that money spent. And we're happy to, help be involved in that as well. And it would depend on at least one, but the size of the park and the area covered, more than one, to make sure that that area is ready for a cardiac emergency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. That's a great suggestion. And I believe you joined me at the survivors reunion talking about how the AED was used by high school students at one of our schools and how important it is to have accessibility to the AED for any public space, as long as we can keep it safe and usable.
Thank you. Any further comment? Can you go to the podium? Thank you.
I don't know if this is the proper way to ask. So has anybody, she talked about the roads in the Springs. Has anybody looked at some of these, like, is there somebody really going to these areas and looking at these roads and their conditions? Because I brought photos of Highland, and I just wonder if somebody really looks at them. That's all.
Do you? Can-
And-
Susan?
And just a response, absolutely. When it comes time to programming money over the next 2, 4, 6 years, our team always is out there, but also the roads crew from the county is out there because they're the folks that are responding to the pothole work and they know the conditions of the road. But perhaps the ad hoc for the MAC might want to comment on the process that you use to identify roads, to prioritize roads in the Springs.
Yeah, that. Thank you, Susan. That's what I was going to suggest, because I think it was Iris and Hannah, right? Iris, do you want to talk a little bit about what y'all did?
Actually, it was Hannah and I, we did drive over roads. We also have personal knowledge, you know, we live here, of the roads. And there were precious few miles that we knew were going to be covered. And so we actually prioritized roads that that had a lot of use and also for evacuation. You know, I realized that, yeah, we would have liked to have done a lot more, but what we suggested, most of it is being done.
Ma'am, we cannot have back and forth
Yeah,
exchange. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
We can't,
But I would add that any member of the community, feel free to contact me and my office with photos, and certainly we will take note of the condition of the road and put them on a spreadsheet for priority in the future, but also direct the roads crew for the essential pothole work that needs to be done until we can get to repaving.
Okay, I think we did, my husband did speak with Karina and got on put our name or our road name, Highland Boulevard, on for future paving. We just don't know when that would be. And I just want to be sure that, I mean, it's embarrassingly bad and dangerous. So thank you. Thank you for whoever drives out and looks, and hopefully one of these days, after all these years, we'll get it paved. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one online comment.
Yes, and I want to apologize for the tech issues. The monitor in here is not working, so
Okay, we'll look that way. Thanks,
Give
Karina.
me a sec when you see the screen, the timer on your screen. Josette, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Supervisor Gorin. It was great to hear about Larson Park. I'm thrilled that and want to know more. And I know that there'll be something coming up and discussing Plaza and ad hoc. But what I would like to ask for is, because there's so much floating around on social media and people talking about, you know, Plaza Park, et cetera, that maybe something could be written and given to the local news media, the Sun and the IT, to let everybody here in the community know what the county is planning and what's going on, because I think that then it would make people feel like, yeah, we're getting these things, and really, you know, I'm looking forward to it. So that's really just my suggestion. I have very little to say at this time other than that. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment in the audience or in the Zoom room. Okay, we'll close this item. Thank you, Supervisor Gorin. Okay, we are making an adjustment to the agenda. We're moving item 7 to the item 6 slot. We're switching that So we have our Caltrans presentation. We have Jeff Weiss, Adrian Levy, and Henry Ma from Caltrans. This is an informational update from Caltrans on the Verano Highway 12 intersection and other areas of interest. There's also a public meeting coming up. Oh, is it next week? All right. Okay, so Jeff, you've been here quite a bit, so
I have been here quite a bit. I'm
Yeah.
Jeff.
welcome
Adrian,
back.
And Henry Ma is back there in case we get in trouble. And if you need Reddit meeting down, it's right there.
Jeff, real quick, sorry to, Jeff, sorry. He needs to talk into a mic. Oh.
Well, we'd like to point at the chart. Is there a way that? Back there. Huh? Yeah, we can bring it up. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can, you know what? If I sit in front of the chart, it will work. There you go. Yeah, I'll just bring a chair. Sorry, we didn't count on every. We didn't cover every base. We're close. Sorry. Okay. Hello? Is that good? Okay, so we've been here before and we've talked about this intersection. It's at Route 12 in Verano. So I don't think I need to go into too many details, except for we're trying to make the intersection safer for pedestrians. We've had pedestrian accidents at that intersection, too many. One's too many, but we've had more than one. And one of the charts shows the collisions we've had with pedestrians at the intersection. So Caltrans is on a mission to make that intersection safer. However, we are having a meeting a week from tonight at the El Verano Elementary School in the all-purpose room at 6:30. And we're inviting the public to go to that meeting where we'll have numerous Caltrans experts to talk about the projects we are proposing. Because what we have done is we've made a number of proposals and we'd like to run them by the community, because with traffic timing and improvements to intersections, they come with side effects, right? More congestion. So if you're giving more time to one direction or the other, it's at the expense one versus the other. And usually that's measured in delay. We have made a number of improvements so far. The county helped us restripe the intersection and made that a ladder crosswalks as opposed to what was there before, which is traditional. We're going to be installing luminaires at this corner and this corner. We've refreshed the paint in the area. Let's see, what else do I have here? Sorry, a little discombobulated with the microphone. But one of the things we've already done is put what we call LPIs, which means leading pedestrian indicators. And those are those, when you see the walk sign flash before the light turns green, that's a leading pedestrian indicator. And that gives a pedestrian a head start to get across the intersection. But more importantly, it increases the pedestrian's visibility. So they are much more easily seen by traffic by being a few steps out before the automobiles get their green light. We've also, we're going to install larger speed limit signs that say yield for pedestrians. And then the most, oh my God, okay, all right. Hello. It's gonna be solid green. Then it's got a mute button on it. Hold it down. The microphone button. I'll push that. Yeah. Hello, hello. Is there any spare batteries? I don't have. In the meantime. So probably the most important thing we're going to do in the short term, and we really want people's understanding of how this works. Now and before the meeting that on next week, is that we're either going to put in what's called a split phase. Split phase timing on westbound and eastbound Verano Avenue. Or we're going to put on a, what's it called, Adrian? All pedestrian phase. Now the split phase would be that this direction and yeah, that eastbound will travel. What we would have in this before condition was eastbound and westbound Verano Avenue will go at the same time. The split phase means they will not go at the same time. So what that will do is allow the traffic traveling, say we're going westbound, right? Westbound traffic can make a left there, and only the pedestrians on that side of the road will go. So you don't have a conflict pedestrian versus left turning traffic. So when these are on split phases, it means it'll take longer for traffic to get through each section of Verano. The second suggestion would be an all phase, which means traffic would stop in all directions for pedestrians to get across the intersection. Now that would result in a lot more delay for traffic, but it would be the safest plan for pedestrians. You may have seen something like this. It's rare on state highways, but if you go to San Francisco, you'll see something like a scramble where all the lights are red for traffic and pedestrians can cross any direction, including diagonally. We wouldn't have the diagonally crossing here, but it's the same idea. Traffic would wait for pedestrians. Only if pedestrians push the button. If there's no pedestrians wanting to cross, then you wouldn't get the full phase phase, right? Okay. So those are the improvements we propose for the short term. In the long term, we would put in a left turn pocket right there, where there is none right now, which I would make a big difference. And then we have some other improvements. We had an accident at where the railing ends at the bicycle lane, and we have a bicycle lane on Maxwell Park. And we have a bicycle lane on the other side of the street. And so that's sort of a, I don't want to say it's a temptation, but I guess, it's a temptation to just go across there instead of going up to the light. We don't want that. We're going to make it difficult by putting in a barrier, extending the barrier down there. And so we would really encourage everyone to go to the website. And I have the Scan Me codes right here. Go to the website, read what we've written. And if you have a question, ask on the website. And we would ask everyone here who understands this project to reach out to members of the community and communicate that to them, that we'll have a meeting next week to answer these questions. Because that's what we want. We don't want this decision to be made, just by people in this room or even by just people in the meeting. We want everyone to have an educated mind and know what we propose and then make the best decision based on those facts. So that is our proposal, and we're asking your help to bring people to the meeting so we can get a wide variety of people from this area, get their opinions, and see what would be the best fit with this community. And we know it's a little bit complicated, and so that's why we're asking your help to get the word out. We have had some people make comments so far on the website, and it's been impressive. They understand a lot about this, but not everyone will. So that's where we're going to ask you to, weigh in and help us out with that. I also today, big day, we converted the website into a Spanish website, so it's available in 2 languages. And so we also have I have one of these for a Spanish version as well. So, and again, not to belabor the point, but there's a chart that really explains what the signalization means on that website. So you can look at that and get a good idea of what we're proposing. Yes.
We have lots. I'll start at that end, work our way down, and we'll go back and forth till we get it all done. Joe.
So I do like some of the ideas. I guess I just want to point out that the left turn eastbound, in my opinion, and as someone who makes that left multiple times every single day, is the real issue. Adding a left turn lane going westbound isn't going to change much. It's that eastbound left turn. So I think if you go to the split phase, that would be super helpful. But I'll say again, and I'll go to the website and put it there too, a dedicated left turn that turns into a yield coming or going eastbound on Verano would be amazing. I think for pedestrian safety, and I also believe for driver safety would be amazing.
Thank you, Joe. Celeste?
So on the LPIs, when you're talking about it gives the pedestrian a head start and increases visibility, does that mean it gives a longer span of time for people to cross? Because we have a lot of folks, especially in our senior community, because Faja's right there. It takes them longer due to mobility needs to get across that large intersection. And I've sat at that intersection and watched, our elders be 3/4 of the way across and the light turns. And they're literally stuck like in the middle of the intersection, and not everybody is as patient and kind as they should be. And so I'm just concerned about that duration. Would that give them more time?
It would, right?
Yes.
Okay. It would give, because they'd be starting ahead. I think it's 3 seconds, is it?
Yep.
3 seconds ahead, which is significant of traffic.
Okay.
And it helps people be visible to those people who are turning right. So they've already stepped off the curb and the cars can see them, and it really makes a big difference. And it gives them a head start.
Okay. Thank you.
Iris?
I have one comment, and that is that we have experience with a split phase signal in just down the road at where the highway boys and Vallejo come together. And it works. I'd say it works really well in my experience. I live near there. The other thing is, why not let people diagonally cross on an all phase? Because it would take them 2 times, unless they're really quick, to do a right angle, to go west on Verano and then north or south over 12. Can I?
I don't know the answer. Henry, do you know the answer to that? Oh, you know?
Yeah. I have. Tell me if I'm wrong, Henry.
Go ahead.
Thanks.
We would have to put striping diagonally across the intersection. The type of road it is for the speed limit it would be, it's not appropriate for the type of road. And with the length, and it's not a perfect square, it's a diamond, it would take much longer to cross. Again, that would come at the consequence of the delay of the intersection. So there's a few things going on there with the striping and the delay. Henry, thank you, Henry.
So generally, like what Jeff was saying, the scramble configuration of the crosswalk, they will, most time we see it at the downtown area or where the a lot of pedestrians. And we have a traffic count here, and the maximum volumes of the foot traffic at that location is very minimal. So we are looking at how we're gonna balance between putting the people across the intersection safely and the level of service of the intersections. So, but I'm not the expert, but next week there will be a person who will demonstrate why we can go about, why we are not counting, putting this diagonal cross in our configuration yet.
Actually, and I have one other comment. I am very much in support of making a dedicated left from going over Verano going west from the east side of a left turn, a right, left turn, a straight ahead and a right turn, because I do come that way when it's sometimes, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it really is, there's not a nice way to say it, so it's a mess. Yeah, so I'm really in support of that. Thank you.
Thank you. So two things. One, I grew up in San Francisco and in the financial district, watched that scramble and didn't understand why I got to cross in the middle of the street for a long time when I was a kid. But I don't think that there's enough pedestrian traffic to warrant something like that. It would, and crossing that highway in the middle, having somebody in the middle of that highway is frightening to me. As in that kind of setting. The other thing is you said something about a timeline, and so how fast are these two different phases happening? And I also, third, fourth, whatever, the left turn lane needs to go from in the north direction as well.
Sure, okay. So with the interim solution, our goal is to get everything done by the end of next month. Jeff, I don't know if you
Through the
included
chair.
everything that
Adrian,
we're-
could you speak into the mic, please? Just
Get closer to
really
the
close
mic.
to the mic.
Sure.
That doesn't, yeah,
how's
this?
yeah, there you go.
You have
Okay.
to keep it up to your mouth. Thank
Thank
you.
All right, thank you. Okay, okay, so by the end of next month, we would like to have option 1 or option 2, so the split phasing or the all ped. We would also like to install some speed limit signs on Verano, install yield to pedestrian signs for the right turns. And the city of Sonoma will install temporary lighting at the northwest and southeast corners of the intersection. And that's all targeted for the end of next month. So
Thank you.
we do what we can.
Thank you. Mari?
My question just would be, is there a flyer for the event, and what time exactly? I didn't hear I heard it was next week, but didn't know what day and
It
the
is
time.
a week from today at El Verano Elementary School in the all-purpose room, beginning at 6:30 p.m. The format will be mostly an open house, meaning everyone can come in. We'll have more charts than this. We'll have Caltrans representatives around from various departments there to answer questions. I believe it will open up with comments. If elected officials would like to make comment, or Supervisor Gorin may be making comments to open it up, and there may be some comments by Caltrans. But I think most of the meeting is going to be question and answer, because there's so much being done in this location. The solution isn't one thing, and I'm sure people have lots of questions. So we decided to do the open house style, and we will send out a news release. We will also get in touch with the local legislative offices. We'll tweet it and we'll put it on the website. And I brought a QR code for the website, both the English and Spanish versions. And of course, you're welcome to call people to come to the meeting. That's what we want. We want a big turnout.
Thank you. Jack?
So to echo previous comments, I am a big fan of dedicated left turns and just leaves less to interpretation. And in addition, out of the two options that you have displayed here, I feel the stopping, allowing pedestrian crossing at the same time, again, leaves less room for error or judgment or, oh, can I turn left? Maybe not. And it just, even though it adds perhaps a little bit longer to your commute, it ensures that if you're crossing the road, you know that there's going to be no cars moving. So I prefer option 2. And thank you for coming along tonight.
Thank you. Also, we'd like to say that anytime we make improvements, especially with signalization, it takes a while for the public to get used to it. So what you see immediately is not going to be there forever. There's adjustments that will happen over time. So.
Okay, thank you. Jesus.
Okay, can you hear me? All right. So, well, not complicated, but I'm making it complicated in my head. So you are saying that the long term are going to create a left turn coming from East Verano to Southwest Verano to Sonoma, right?
Yeah.
So that westbound eastbound. Okay. Not that good with
It looks like southbound, but.
All right. So then that means that traffic going from East Verano to West Verano and traffic going from East Verano going towards west Highway 12. No, the other way. Oh, all right. Yeah, so they will have the green light. I guess you have to install a extension of light on the corner of the skate park light is so that they know that they can cross, and the people on the traffic going from West Verano do not cross, but also because it's also important to, I'm worried about traffic safety too. I know that a lot of people here are concerned about pedestrian, but traffic is too. So when I echoed Joe's concern, I also turn that light a lot, and it's very dangerous when I'm in my car driving, you know, also like car, speaking from my, in the car traffic. And so you have to install another light so that the East Verano, they know how to, they have the green, and then the other way around, you know, so that
on each side.
I don't know if it's making sense of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's already thought through. I'm thinking.
A left turn lane on each side is what you're saying.
Yeah. So either both traffics have to stop when and yield or not yield, but allow to go so that it's safe for traffic,
Yeah,
you know.
thank you,
Thank you.
Jesus.
There's a nice diagram on the website. It takes some, it's like, I don't know, it's not like looking at Wordle, but it's sort of like that. It's like a puzzle and you look at it long enough and it starts to make sense. I mean, I totally appreciate where you're coming from. It takes a while to understand it, but if you look at it and you can see the difference between what the split phase is and what the all phase is, and how, you know, the LPI benefits pedestrians and things like that. So
Just a quick question or comment rather, and I think Maite will probably agree with me, but our Riverside is another very crazy road. So I would suggest you put carpooling in your press release because you're probably going to get a lot of people going to El Verano. And there's been situations where the CHP has to come to Riverside. So that's a very narrow road also. So just
Parking is rough. That
parking
was-
is very
yeah.
difficult once it gets very full there.
Okay, thank you all. Is there a comment from the public? Mr. Larson. And then if we could have hands raised in the Zoom room for those so we can keep track. Thank you. 3 minutes.
Hi. When that intersection changed, we had an issue with the same thing that we're talking about. And the public that I was involved with at that particular time was to put a pedestrian walkway over Highway 12 by the tennis courts to the bike path. And that got nixed. They said no. And then, I don't know why, because what we have right now is we have pedestrians crossing there where those rails are from the bike path to Maxwell Village continuously all the time. I have to confess, I was probably one of those people doing it. And we got to get the pedestrians away from that intersection with a safe passage, because it's all about safety. There's been 3 or 4 deaths at that intersection. We have to control that. I mean, and the only way we're going to do it is to get the pedestrians away from it. And if we put an over Highway 12 pedestrian walkway for bicycles, because everybody's going to the skate park and the bicycle park, and that's our kids. They're riding their bikes, their skateboards, walking, whatever. We need to move the pedestrians away from there. My problem is I come up Verano Avenue from the west side and I'm going east and I'm turning right onto Highway 12. And I'm looking this way and the light changes for me to go green, and it also changes for pedestrians to walk right there. So you have to look all over the place. There's just too much things happening in that intersection. And that to me seems to be the safest for our kids and everybody who walks there. Tons of people walk there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Anyone else in the public? Okay, we'll go to Zoom.
Aaron, you can see the timer on your screen. You can begin your comment. Please state your name for the public record and begin your comment.
Okay, thank you. This is Eris Weaver. I'm the Executive Director of Sonoma County Bicycle Coalition. I had a few little audio difficulties on my end, so I didn't hear all of the discussion. So I will look at the website to get a clearer picture and before getting comments. It would be helpful for the folks at home if you could post the website or the QR code as a share screen or something like that so that folks at home can know where the website is. I also don't see the website. It would be helpful if the information about next week's meeting was on that website. I don't see that there. And I'm curious to know if that meeting will only be in person or if it will also be hybrid so that folks can participate if they can't get there. It's not clear on the website how easy it is to give feedback. I think there's an email link, but it's kind of hard to see, so you might want to make that clearer. And then my final comment is both in folks' verbal remarks and what I'm seeing on the website is continued use of the word accident. We use the word collision or crash because the word accident implies that nothing could have been done to prevent it. And that's the whole reason we're here at this meeting, is talk about the ways that we can prevent these collisions, crashes, injuries, deaths. When the roads are designed the way they are, combined with folks making poor decisions, that's not an accident. So I would love to eliminate that word from any discussion about crashes on the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely. Can you?
Is this better?
Yep. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Caitlin Cornwall, and I'm representing Sonoma Valley Collaborative. The Collaborative is a very broad coalition for Sonoma Valley that includes major leadership representation from the business and economic sector, from the health sector, from youth serving organizations, the environment, the faith community, as wide as we can possibly make it. And we take on issues that affect the entire Sonoma Valley and that are too big for any one organization to tackle on their own. And the members of the collaborative wanted to weigh in on this issue. It's quite important to the collaborative membership because one of our previous statements, for example, is that the Springs, that has more residents than the city of Sonoma, needs the same urban services as a city. This traffic issue is one of the urban issues that the Springs needs attention about. Our membership has heard about this issue from the Springs MAC, and several members of the coalition, including the chamber and several others, are planning to contact Caltrans individually and potentially state legislators about the urgency and importance of improving this intersection. And so our membership, is really clear that the Springs are where most of the people in Sonoma Valley live. It's where most of the children in the Sonoma Valley live. It's where the most people, including children, get where they go, where they need to go by walking. So just wanted to show up at this meeting, and I will work to get our members at next week's meeting also. But just to know that there's a very broad coalition of people beyond Springs residents who care about this issue and want the short-term actions done, yes, but also that the long-term actions don't take too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Josette?
Hi, yeah, Josette again. Once again, I'd like to know, what is this website? Can you tell me what it is so that I can look at it? I have not seen it. Not a QR code, but just the website. And again, reaching out to the community via local media and local social media. And I would be, if we can have the information about the meeting that's coming up next week and the website, I would happily post things too, but I don't know what they are. So I'd like to have them posted here so I can write them down. So thanks.
Thank you, Josette. I think, are we working on getting how are we can we display that QR code? Is that
I'm
possible?
trying to make it happen online.
Yeah,
This is what happens when you have a hybrid meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a long URL, so that's why we're using the QR code. It's just the way. I guess I could have used a bit.ly, but.
Well, the problem is a lot of people don't use QR codes, unfortunately. And that came up with something else that I was doing. It's not widely used by everybody. So it would be nice just to have a link to put out there for people to click on and get to easily. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Josette, we have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Google Caltrans Verano 12.
Okay, will do.
That'll take you there.
Thanks. All right.
Thank
thanks.
you. Are there, seeing no other comments? Okay, we have another, we'll go back to council in a minute. Thank you.
Also, through the chair, also I would like to suggest to the public, if you haven't already registered for our distribution list, please reach out to me. My email is karina.garcia@sonoma-county.org. I'd be happy to add you. The press release will be going out as soon as we receive it from Caltrans, and it will have all that information.
And we'll blast it on our social media as well. I know Celeste will have it out there. And Muddy Cutterman.
Hi,
Hi.
forgive me for not having stepped up sooner. My name is Douglas Wood. I'm also a resident of the Springs. The Index Tribune, which is how I found out about this plan and this meeting, the discussion that we're having right now, and next week's meeting. The Index Tribune indicated that that would be on Monday of next week. Am I incorrect in that? Is it on Wednesday?
Yeah, turns out that Monday is Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So the schools are closed. And so that was a mistake on our part. We thought it was only a federal holiday so far, but it turns out it is a school holiday as well. So we moved it to the 21st.
Fabulous. My concern is that that's not being disseminated effectively to the community, and I would encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up. That's a good point.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to final comments from council. I'm going to start. Joe, anything? Celeste, anything?
No, I'm letting everybody know I'm going to get it on our Facebook page now while we're all sitting here with the link. So if people are on Facebook, you'll be able to access it that way.
Thank you.
And I'll share it in the Springs community group as well.
Right. It's an opportunity to like our Facebook page too.
Chair
It is, you
Iturri.
should like our Facebook page.
Yeah. Iris.
Chair Iturri, I've also added the information in the chat for the community that is connected via Zoom. We cannot exchange messages here, but they can see the information.
Oh, you guys are super awesome. This is the best team ever. All right, Iris.
Okay, I did just Google Caltrans Verano 12. It worked really well. Thank you. And one point that I don't know that many people or anyone has made, and I am remiss in not making it, is that the tremendous increase in aggressive driving since we all got released from COVID restrictions. And I see it in people running blatantly red lights and along the place there where it splits to 4 lanes, passing on the right, just to get ahead a little bit. And I know that's except for some sort of traffic calming, which is involved. That's not your jurisdiction, but we also have, I just don't see traffic enforcement down in the valley.
Thank you, Iris. Muddy Cutterman. Jack. Jesus.
I just want to thank you for being here and thank you for putting effort into this intersection. I drive there, don't personally walk that intersection. It's not safe. And I hope that we can get this solved sooner rather than long term. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you as well. We've had many conversations over the last year or so, and the timeline has definitely shrunk. So thank you for that. I appreciate and recognize the effort that you all have put in to make this happen faster for this community, and that you're reaching out to the community is also equally important. So we really appreciate that as well. And thank you to Caltrans and the cooperation and collaboration with the county and the city as well. So thank you.
Chair Iturri, if I may, I'd also like to publicly thank Caltrans staff for all the support with all the different projects that the Spring SMAC has been taking on, including the utility boxes. So thank you for being
that
here.
as well. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And one other thing, it reminds me, if you are submitting a question, don't feel you have to do it in all words. You can draw a diagram and include that as well. Sometimes it's easier. Draw a picture when you're talking about these things than to describe it in words.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have said you're gonna turn left at McDonald's going towards Subway, right? That would have been my description of that. So. all right.
Chair Terry, one more thing,
Yes.
just for the public awareness, we have received a lot of public comment
Oh,
on
yes,
this
thank you.
item. And it was forwarded to Caltrans for the community's awareness. Anything that was submitted in advance or is still submitted after this meeting, it is part of the public record and can be accessed on the Spring Smack website. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder, Karina. All right, thank you, Caltrans, for being here. All right, we're gonna make one more adjustment to the agenda. We're gonna have the Sonoma Water step up to the mic and we'll bump our item down to the number 8. So Andrea?
Yes.
Andrea is here from Sonoma Water to give us a presentation on hazard mitigation and would like to provide a brief update to the council and opportunities for public input. So thank you.
Absolutely. So our local hazard mitigation plan, we were going to come back earlier this spring. And so we've changed topics because that public comment is closing tomorrow. But always feel free to look at it tonight if you need some nighttime reading, sonomawater.org. So I have a really great thing. This is actually very timely for the Sonoma Valley County Sanitation District and our neighbors here. The Board of Directors just approved a sanitation rate relief program. So this is really timely for our neighbors. So if we want to go to our next slide. This is a new program that is offered to low-income residents, both and nonprofits and customers of the Sonoma Valley County Sanitation District. So this is if you receive your sanitation bill on your annual property tax. So that's how you know if you're a customer of the Sonoma Valley County Sanitation District. If you live and own your own home, you are also eligible. And it's easy to apply if you are currently a PG&E Care Program customer. So that's a great way to know. It's just, if you're not, then we just got to get a couple extra documents from you to complete your eligibility. And again, this is all available online. And it's also for nonprofits. So if you have more than, I think it's 80%, 60% or less, then you can also qualify as a landlord or company for your renters and residents as well. So keep that in mind if you're a nonprofit. It is on our social and available. So again, this organization and group is great for helping get the word out. So all of the materials are available on the Sonoma Water social media platforms and also available on our website. So please get the word out. The deadline is July 10th. So it's really important that we get as much information out to our customers as possible. And last, I think I got one more. This is just the program. This is how you can get all the information and find us. Obviously, our website, sonomawater.org/SRRP. There's a phone number for a voicemail where we're able to just get calls and get information back to you. And of course, you can always send us an email, and we've got staff and bilingual staff available to help answer questions and here to promote the program. It's the first year, so we're really excited.
Oops. Thank you. Are there questions, comments from council? Joe?
I think it sounds great. I think it's first year, so we're really gonna see what impact it has. I know I will be bringing it back to my nonprofit and seeing where we go with it. So thanks.
Celeste, anything? Iris?
I guess my question is for a landlord, what constitutes low income? Some landlords may not rent it out. It's not Section 8 or anything like that, but it's reasonable, which is around here is difficult.
Yeah, the landlord would have to prove that their residents are qualified for the reduced 60% of the medium income. So they would have to show that proof of eligibility to receive the benefit, because the benefit is 50% off of your sanitation bill. So it is quite a significant discount.
Thank you. Mari?
Sorry, my only question is the sanitation bill usually the one on property taxes?
Yes,
That's what I wanted to make clear.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
you bet.
Yeah, those cost a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so 50% would be a great discount. And so
Mhm.
again, applications are due in July for this upcoming 23, 24.
And
property
how
tax.
would somebody know if they're approved?
Our accountants are on it because we are getting this moving through.
And then this would be for taxes in December.
Yeah, for your next property tax bill that comes out in
Usually.
August.
Oh, they come in August and then,
Yes.
yeah, the last that you have to pay is
Okay,
till December.
Yes,
But for this one, for this year, okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jack? Jesus?
I have a question. I'm about renters.
Mhm.
So it's not unrelated, but the supposed to be like leak and the bill goes really high. I'm assuming there is like relief for the leak that it wasn't their fault, and so water
For water,
Sonoma Water. Is that something that you can answer me?
I could definitely find out for you, but usually we would make sure you're a customer of Sonoma Water for water.
Yeah, sorry.
That's or if it's either Valley of the Moon or the town of Sonoma, because they would be your first stop for water.
Okay, that's completely not related to some
Sonoma Water,
sanitation, something.
not for sanitation.
Okay. All right. Well, it's just that a lot of the people that live in the Springs are renters, so their landlords channel their. I'm assuming the landlords pay that bill,
Mhm.
so it's not on the renters' responsibility.
Right, so it would be up to the landlord to share that benefit with the renters.
Okay, so it's important that landlords that renters know that.
Right, because the landlord receives the benefit, so it would be up to the landlord.
Yes, that would be an important piece. Okay, comment from the council or from the audience or our online viewers? Online? Okay, give it a
No.
couple of seconds. All right. Seeing none. Thank you, Andrea, for coming and talking with us. Appreciate it.
Always.
And are the applications available now? Was that what you said?
Yes, everything's online, English and Spanish. Please, if you can like it, share it, post it. Again, because the deadline is July 10th. And we would love to get as many customers qualified and discounted as we can. We got $1 million. Let's spend it.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
We have all kinds of good news tonight. Okay.
Oh God, one last question, sorry. I'm assuming it's only for this next fiscal year.
Correct. It is for this fiscal year. And then if you're eligible, but we'll have it every year. So I want to thank our
Okay.
board of directors for starting this program, but you would have to reapply every year. Or if you don't apply this year and you qualify next year, every year we're going to start it. And we'll be able to start sooner now that we know about it.
Okay, thanks so much for the clarification.
Thank you. Okay. Do we want to take a quick break before we go into the next item, or do you want to roll into the next item? Yes, what? Yes, a break. Okay, so let's come back at 8 o'clock. Thank you all. We are going to move. We're doing a lot of moving tonight. We're going to move item 9 up into the next, as the next item, and then we will go back to our norms. We have a lot to report on our ad hocs. So, let's get started. adopt a highway and road. Who has that one? I can't, sorry, I don't know exactly who's
That
got one.
is me and Mary.
Oh, excellent.
So I believe there is a presentation on said topic. But in the interim, I can introduce the out of the two projects, we have decided on adopt a road versus adopt a highway for two reasons. One, the process is a little bit more user-friendly and straightforward. Adopt a highway has a lot more hoops to go through. And most importantly, the only available spots for adopt a highway are in Roanoke Park, which I don't think represents our community very well. I think many would agree with that. We have met since, and if we could go to, I think it's the next slide. Yeah, we'll do a little intro on what it is. Effectively, the kind of TLDR, or too long didn't read, is it's a cleanup program for picking one of the county roads, and you complete like volunteer litter pickup to keep things tidy and look in spit spot. If we could have the next slide, please. So we had 4 options that came up in the process. This first one, running Riverside Drive from San Ramon to Verano Avenue, which we felt was a kind of a key area within the community. So this is why it was a consideration to begin with. Secondly, the stretch from Orange Avenue to Agua Caliente Road on Arnold Drive, also quite representative, but very long, so harder to maintain. Third on the agenda was Agua Caliente Road from Arnold Drive over to Hooker Avenue, and I learned that Hooker Avenue is a spur that just comes off Highway 12 a little bit to the east. So this was also, up there on the list of priorities, but we did settle on option 4, which was the stretch of Verano Avenue from Highway 12 to Olive Avenue. And this is a key commuting route, as we've heard from council members and members of the public this evening. Lots of people take this road. So in terms of visibility for what we're doing and what we're about, it's probably a good pick. It wouldn't be the worst place to choose for a cleanup because a lot of people go on it. And with the addition of the Adopt a Road sign, that will also help with further visibility of, hello, we're Springs Mac. This is us, and this is something that we're doing. Does that kind of cover, for the most part, what we talked about?
Sorry, for the reasons that we decided on that. And of course, the fact that the intersection of Highway 12 and Verona Avenue is there. And we think that it is a main road that has a lot of potential places for ideas for events, which you'll see is one of the requirements. And that will take me to the step where what are the program requirements and what would be the next steps. So actually, according to the TPW, or formerly TPW, which is now Public Infrastructure for Sonoma County, you have to, it has to be a segment of a road that you're going to adopt and that you are going to commit to having at least 2 events a year. So the next steps for us would be to, of course, approve the road to be adopted by the Springs MAC. We would then review the program conditions and requirements, which Karina does have the accessibility of the agreement and the conditions that would need to be signed off. And then that takes us to the filling out the application and agreement I just referred to. We would need to fill it out and then submit it to Public Infrastructure Department. We would have to choose a start date of when we want to start adopting this road. We would have to decide on events, minimum 2 per year. And we would have to also decide on the name that would be on the adopter signee, which maybe in this case would be the Springs Municipal Advisory Council. So that's kind of the next most immediate steps to take that we might, of course, have to do another follow-up presentation once it's approved and we move forward. Thank you.
Joe?
I think that's a great stretch of road. Thank you for all your work. Events wise, do we know what that looks like? Like, could it be at Maxwell Park adjacent to that road, or even at the Boys and Girls Club adjacent to that road and count towards it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we saw so many. I was like, we can even invite Harvey Donuts because they're on the street
Yeah,
too.
totally.
Yeah, no, we, there's some, I mean, there's the Church of Nazarene, which
Mhm.
is super active also with Pastor Steve there. And then Alvarado School, and then the little bike path by Baja is there. You know, so many opportunities to do events, and I already saw where we can even do a little picnic if we do like a creek cleanup, you know, so many things. I'm
Great.
so glad they only said 2 per year. I'm happy about that.
Likewise.
That's all I can do.
So
Of course,
last, any-
with volunteers.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect stretch. It's kind of sort of the entrance to what we consider the springs. So it feels very, very appropriate. I also like the fact that it does encompass the creek and allows for us to, you know, be able to partner with other organizations. I know the Ecology Center does creek cleanups, and it feels like a good opportunity to be able to also do some partnering in there for events.
Iris?
I was making the assumption that events means cleanup events for the whole stretch of road at that time. Twice a year. Okay,
You'd be correct. Yes.
okay. Where are we gonna get the personnel is the only thing I'm wondering.
Oh, I think that there's so much potential there because we have Baja, we have Boys and Girls Club. You know, we have the schools, we have the church. We have so many neighbors and apartment complexes there. Actually, when we were meeting and for some reason, I guess they hadn't seen it yet, I was like, whoa. I was like, you have Verano, like, which is, you know, where we actually have this, the Caltrans intersection topic, you know, and though that is one of our main focuses, we were enlightened by all the other potential opportunities to really get community groups working there together. And I already saw a little space where you can have a picnic, like right by the bike path, between Baja and the highway, where you can have the waters and everything to come and pick up for the cleanups. And there's a lot of shade too. God bless. Mr. Jack.
Yep, I kind of second those things. I think the opportunity on Verano Avenue is huge, given all the community associations that are based along there. And I think that with 2 events per year, the lift isn't too high to kind of ask for folks in the community to help out. And just general accessibility is excellent. It's not difficult to get to Verano Avenue, but be that by car, on foot, or by bicycle if you so choose. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and hopefully we see a ripple effect of not just Springs Mac adopting roads, but other entities and perhaps individuals. Shout out to Steve on Leveroni Road. I don't know who he is, but Steve, I like that you adopted a road and didn't leave a last name.
Through the chair, I don't think the ad hoc mentioned this, but public infrastructure provides the supplies for the cleanups. All you need to do is recruit your, team to do the cleanups, and the supplies are provided.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I think my understanding as well is that you will leave the bags sort of on site and someone will come to pick them up at a later date. So there's no requirement of like adding it to your Recology trash can, which I think we'd agree would be less desirable.
Thank you. Jesus, do you have a comment?
Oh, but we should just run from the Verano and clean Highway 12 for a little bit, because that road is also really dirty, especially by Sonoma Charter School.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your work and making it understandable and digestible for the rest of us. So thank you. What are the next steps on this?
Do we actually have to make a motion to approve?
We only have it as a
adopting?
receive tonight,
Oh, okay,
so we'll
then-
bring it back to the
to
next
the-
one and
okay.
do it as a resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bicycle rack project. We have I'm not exactly sure if the bikes have been delivered to. I didn't check if they were delivered to Arterscape.
I haven't followed up, if you guys haven't followed up. The
Yeah.
last I knew is that
You had asked Brian to,
the bicycle rack that was at our office was delivered.
right,
And we had asked Brian. I know there was some conflict with Artiscape's schedule because they're working on their fundraiser. And they were asking for a specific timeline, but that's the last I heard.
yeah, I was watching those emails and they had asked for a timeline and I didn't see a response from Brian. We'll follow up. Okay. Community picnic.
Okay, so it's on Saturday. From 1 to 5 p.m. And we've got, let me pull my notes up because I've got a list of participants. So we're encouraging everybody to come down, pack a picnic, bring your soccer ball, bring your frisbee, bring a blanket, bring your family, bring your friends. We're asking and encouraging people to walk and bike if they can. Really want to give a big shout out to Sonoma Immigrant Services, who was our partner on this. They've been amazing as always. They're always such a fantastic partner with the MAC. Fruta is going to be there giving free ice cream to the community. The Fairmont will be there with lemonade and cookies. La Luz is going to be there with face painting. Sonoma Water will be there with water bottle giveaways. And we also have information tables from Sonoma Economic Development, Sonoma Ecology Center, and the Sonoma Community Center will also be participating. And we're just really looking forward to kind of making this our first little dipping our toes in the swimming hole, so to speak, of kind of just making this something we do every year. And it's so great to hear that Larson Park is gonna be getting to move forward with the much needed improvements it deserves. But we can still gather and continue to do our community gathering and fun that we always have at Larson, even with our one porta potty. But for the record, because I am the potty queen of Larson Park, we have ordered a second porta potty for this event. So there'll be another potty and a hand washing station coming. So don't let the one potty deter you. We will have two. And I'm just really looking forward to this. So just encouraging everybody to come out. And also it's a nice way to kick off summer. We've all had quite the year. It's been quite a year. It's been quite a few years. And so I think that this is just an opportunity for us to kind of get back to the gathering we all used to spontaneously have there. I mean, my kids have spent every summer in Larson swimming in the swimming hole and playing with friends randomly, just because we run into our friends when we go down there. And I think that COVID has really interrupted this very natural thing that we've always done in the springs. So I'm hoping that this can get us back into our natural rhythm of doing that again. So Saturday, 1 o'clock to 5 p.m. Pack your cooler and your basket and see you down there.
Thanks, Celeste. Any comment from council? Marty?
Yes, I have a question. Will there be a table for the MAC, and do you need our support?
I guess we probably should have one, huh? I was so busy making room for everybody else.
There's there was
it.
also, I think, what do you call it? Those red raffle tickets left over from the fire emergency or the emergency preparedness event. So there's tickets as well. If there's any raffles for any program or agenda going on.
We can,
So let me know if you need any support. I can help you table for at least 2 hours.
Yeah, I would definitely need help doing the tabling and just getting the table items together and
Yeah, I think Karina has the bag ready.
the goodies, right?
So I've emailed you about picking them up. I actually have them in my trunk. If you have space, I'd
I
like to
have
pass
a-
them on.
I have a trunk that can pull it next to your trunk. We can go ahead and transfer
Awesome.
those tonight.
Love it.
if we have flyers for the Caltrans meeting, we could have those available as well, or maybe the QR code or something,
Yeah.
at least.
They left the QR
Yeah.
codes here. We can put them out. I don't have flyers from them unless they provide them
Yeah,
between now
well,
and
we can at
Saturday.
least use that
Yeah.
and explain it to people.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the picnic?
Yes,
Jesus?
yes. So I'm very new to the picnics. I've never attended one, but my sister moved last week from LA with her 3 children. And she says that they have these picnics all the time in Los Angeles, and that they have movie nights and all sort of things down there. So I'm very excited that this picnic is coming to realization. Hopefully, the community, other organizations in the community take on the lead to organize these type of picnics on community events. I think that they're great for the children, and I'm happy that my sister that moved from LA is able to attend this picnic and have her children enjoy as if they were in LA, but in Sonoma, in the Springs. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesus. We had talked about a movie night, but there were some complications with that, but that could happen in the future. Any other comments? Public comment? Yes.
I'm Suzanne again. Thank you for doing that picnic. But how do we find out about it? Someone said maybe Facebook, but there's a lot of people on the street that don't use computers, a lot of older people and things that people want to know what's they can join, and how do we find out?
I sent a press release a couple weeks ago and it was in both of the papers. They both put it in. I know it was in both of those.
Yeah, we don't have.
Maybe we can print
Yeah,
out
next to you.
some flyers. I'm happy
And I
to
guess this one.
print out any flyers and walk the highway and put them at the stores. So maybe we can meet. What's today? Maybe we can do it Friday.
Because I think also there's a community board in the post office, which I
Mhm.
think is accessible for any notices like this. And I'm sure Barking Dog Coffee Roasters will be happy to allow some
Mhm.
space for this.
I have a graphic. I'll email it to you.
Okay, yeah, it's the one on Facebook, right?
Our Sonoma Immigrant Services, they made that one. And then I have one that sort of has not as much color. I'm just thinking it's up to you.
I actually love colors. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
I'll
always worried
print,
about losing ink.
No, I think that's the nice part.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
to print out and I'll connect with you whoever needs some flyers. I think a traditional outreach is so important.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Through the
Thank you.
chair, if community members also like to volunteer to help spread the word, if you provide a flyer to a community member, 'cause I understand you live in that neighborhood, right? So maybe you could help. Yeah, wonderful.
Is there a way we can get her information and drop off?
You're over on Deshane, I'm on Johnson. I think we're neighbors.
Oh.
We can connect.
Okay, I can drop them off at your house.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can.
I'll
them
give you
to-
my
Thank you.
email and cell phone.
All right. Thank you. Looking forward to the event. Emergency preparedness. Mari Carmen, is that you?
Through the chair, if I may, we did not take public comment on the other two.
Oh,
updates.
sorry.
If you could go back to that, please.
Public comment on adopt a highway or the bicycle rack project. Okay. Emergency preparedness.
Okay, well, I think first off, I would like to see if another council member would like to be in my ad hoc because I'm lonely. I'm the only one and with a community member, but that's not the same. So think about it. Because we really, I think, need to initiate the Springs Emergency Task Force. And just get information together just to be ready for fire season for this year. As well as, but I do want to take the opportunity to actually have information at the community picnic on Saturday to gather any names of potential community volunteers that want to be part of the ad hoc or just learn more about my neighborhood as well. So, and then in July, there's going to be an event that the county is doing. It's they invited leaders from different neighborhoods to for all-day training for neighborhood groups. And so I'll be attending that. But don't be shy to be on Emergency Preparedness 2.0.
I'm happy to help you, Marty Carmen. You know what my schedule's like. It's at night or it's on the weekends.
Yeah. No worries. I think if we can just be focused on especially reconnecting with the new superintendent and letting them know that we have the pod at Altamira, and maybe if we have to sign another contract or anything, and then also we need to do inventory in the pod to see what's in there and what else we need to get.
Yeah, I think that that would be good to pick that back up.
And
I'd
I
be happy to help
know,
with that.
and I know that, there's, since the new fiscal year is coming, there's probably going to be opportunities to get money for emergency preparedness. So I think we can start preparing that to see what else we need to have at the pod or other needs.
Thank you. Are there
Thank you.
any comments on emergency preparedness?
Through the chair, I'd like to encourage the rest of the council members to join this ad hoc. Just a reminder, you can have up to 3. You guys currently have 8 active ad hocs / groups, and Chair Iturri is on 6 of them. So with this, she would be on 7, and I think that's too much for Chair Iturri. So
That's not, am I really on that many?
Yeah, you're gonna put
One,
a
two,
restriction.
three,
encourage the rest of the
4.
council.
I was
I'm
gonna
at
ask,
5. Oh, maybe 6.
I was gonna ask how many of us can be on an ad hoc and still be within our Brown Act. So it's 3. Okay, yeah, Mari, you want to go ahead and put me on there?
Okay,
That one.
thank you. Mhm.
And I'll go and you can scratch my tag.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, yes, yeah, you're
you.
you're an OG, you're original Miss Iris, so from the
Okay.
original ad hoc. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments? Okay.
A comment. I want to be in that. I could. Can I be in that? I don't know. I want to help you do the inventory if you allow me. Is that possible?
Again, you can only have 3 council members right now, but
So
if you're just volunteering to help with inventory on that day, that's perfectly okay.
I would like to do so very much if you allow me.
Okay, thank you, Jesus, for the offer.
okay. It's hard for me to let go of that one.
I
know.
promise we'll do it justice.
All right,
I
thank
swear.
you. Okay. Logo competition. I think we changed the date.
We did, and I need to update that graphic. I'm sorry, when you asked me, I was in the middle of graduations. But I have it on my to-do list and I will update that graphic for you.
Okay. Do we know what date we changed it to?
That was our question.
Did we change it to September?
I believe it was September 30th, end of Q3.
Thank you for the
Thank
date. I
you.
knew it was September, but I couldn't.
I
remember
thought
what
it was
the
the first. So
day
thank you.
was.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack. So that logo, we do have one submission, I believe. Yeah. So,
I will get that to you this week.
yeah, we need to get that out there some more.
Maybe
Speaking
we
of,
can advertise that at the picnic as well on
Yeah.
Saturday.
yes. All right. Comments? Public comment? Okay. All right, social media and outreach. Go ahead.
Like our Facebook page. I think what we, just as a update, I think what's going on is, when I try to tag our page in groups, it's not picking the page up. It's only picking our old group up. And I think the problem is Facebook's waiting for us to have 100 likes. Sometimes that triggers that algorithm. So if everyone could go like our page, I just posted in the Springs group. You can reach us that way and go like us. That'll get us to 100. And I think that it'll stop triggering that. But we really need to move people over to the page and away from the group. And just for those out there wondering, why would you do such a thing? It's in order to keep us compliant with the Brown Act. So we need to be able to post as the page, not as our individual selves. If I were to post in the group as Celeste to come to the Springs picnic and Maite were to share that event that Celeste created, we would be violating the Brown Act. It constitutes a meeting outside of a public meeting. So I just want sort of people to understand why we're doing that and why it's important. So it's really important for us to migrate to the page and away from the group. So please like us on Facebook.
Maybe the people who come to the picnic can also like our Facebook page.
I'll make a QR code.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Maybe you guys can do a raffle based on that, like the page, they like it, then you give them a raffle ticket.
Oh, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do
Oh,
raffles
we
on
can't do
social media. No, did you? Yeah, that's a no-no.
Oh, no, but we're not doing it on social media.
Facebook will come slap your hands for that.
Oh, if you like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yep. Yeah, that's
okay,
why
then
we have
never mind.
social media ad hoc.
Okay, then
So that
give them
things-
the la paleta, the fruta ice cream. Just kidding.
The prize is that if you like us on Facebook, you get to stay informed on the things that we're doing in a more accessible fashion.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Springs Community Plaza. So as Supervisor Gorin mentioned, we had a conversation this week. Jack and Josette and I met. And during the conversation, we realized that 3 people were not going to build a plaza. So we recognized the enormity of this undertaking and determined that our first step was really to have a conversation with Supervisor Gorin to see where we were. So she has made it clear that there's conversations happening and it's really not time for an ad hoc to exist yet, because there's a lot of conversations happening that can't be made public yet. And we're waiting to hear the outcome of some of those conversations. So my recommendation is to disband this ad hoc, although we can't do that because this is a receive item. We can do it at the next one until there's a reason to put this ad hoc back into place, which would constitute maybe community outreach or something to that effect. So that is, that's where Jack and Josette and I reached an agreement that day that we needed to have more information because this is much bigger than the Springs Mac ad hoc. Is that?
Yeah, I'd say those comments are accurate. We could meet and chat about it once a month and have the same conversation until we receive new information. So yes, in agreement of waiting until next time to change this in from a receive to a resolution.
Yep. And then we will have, and we'll wait to hear from the county about the next steps. So I've heard a lot of positive things come out of what Supervisor Gorin reported today. There's funding going to Larson Park. there's money being made available for the roads, and then there's conversations about the plaza. So there's a lot of movement happening. We just need to be patient on this one, I think. Although I know many people have been waiting a very, very long time, and I'm not trying to dismiss that, but we are at a point where we just need to kind of wait and see what happens. Springs Utility Project, and I think Jesus, we have a presentation that you want to share. Oh, sorry. Are there any comments from the council on the plaza? Any comments from the public? I think I see Josette's hand.
Josette, go ahead.
Okay, yes, thanks very much. The only thing I would like to ask, I know that we are pausing, disbanding the ad hoc, and we are waiting for information from the county. But I do think it's important, and I would like to once again stress that some type of a statement should be made to the local press so that people have a clear idea. And I think it could be combined with an announcement about Larson Park. And I know that would have to be cleared with Supervisor Gorin, but I do think it's important that the public understand where this item is at this point and where the county is. And I hope you agree with me on that so that there's not rumors and not speculation going on about it. And I'd like to hear your feelings on being able to do that, if one of you would be able to do that or could clear that with Supervisor Gorin to do at this point. So if you could let me know, thanks very much.
Thank you, Josette, for your comments. And thank you for your support of the ad hoc as well. It's nice to have community members on our ad hocs. Okay. Utility box project.
Okay, so the ad hoc for this the utility box project ad hoc met, and we discussed about the application for getting our public art on utility boxes. So the process of that happening is complex as we were expecting it to be. But basically it's just recruiting artists from the community to decorate the utility boxes, like the one that is in front of Rosa Grande. Those are the pictures of the utility boxes on Highway 12 that belong, the yes ones belong to Comcast. The other that say no are Caltrans. So I believe the process for getting the utility boxes, Comcast utility boxes decorated is easier. But the Caltrans are a lot more harder. And there are two utility boxes across East and Thai in front of the I believe they're called mini apartments or little apartments. Tiny town. So those belong to Bosca. And
Yeah, those up in the right-hand corner.
yeah, there is also another in front of the Sonoma Agua Caliente or Sonoma apartments. like near Primavera, and there's another one right across the Republic of Street, close to a plumbing business. Yeah, and the one on Highway 12 and Mountain Avenue is the biggest one of all those four, and it already has like a sticker on it. So it will be great if we put some beautiful art in it. It's right across El Brinquito, and I think that there will be like a great art. It look really great. And then all of the other boxes are Caltrans, and not all of them qualify to be painted, decorated, but the bigger ones, I think that we can do that. We can get that possible then.
This is just a quick correction on this. They are not all Caltrans. Some of them belong to PG&E,
Okay.
Verizon, and other entities.
All right.
And only the 4 that were identified were from Comcast. Caltrans is working on identifying theirs. PG&E absolutely said, no, we cannot use them. Verizon said we cannot use them either. So that's why Comcast and Caltrans boxes are the only ones available at this time.
Well, we hope that we can get as many utility boxes decorated as possible. So far, we have potential with these 4. So we're just waiting for Caltrans to respond back. If you can. Okay. So Caltrans needs to identify which boxes we need to complete the application for Caltrans. We need to find out who are we partnered with and find the artists. And we thought about the community center, the museum, artscape, and we have to do a whole process to recruit the artists. So we had to pay the artists, because the artists in the community, it's important that they get paid. And we have to draft first and foremost, we have to draft a preliminary proposal that eventually will turn into the final proposal, but it's very complicated. And well, anyways, artists, they need to submit their resumes and submit their work to Caltrans and submit it along with the preliminary application. And we have to also which boxes they would like to paint, and it's a lot of decision making, and we have a lot of questions, and it's gonna take a little longer than it's not gonna get sooner, but we hope to get it as soon as possible. Hopefully we can get a coordination with Joaquin Pedrin from Caltrans, so that we can so discuss about this. So some of the questions that Maite formulated, you want to take over this?
Sure. One of the suggestions is that we had to use shrink wrap. We're still not sure what that means exactly. And then does that mean that the art's destroyed when they have to open up the boxes? So that's a question. I mean, maybe it's just on the sides. We did a mural like that at El Verano with kind of a material that they put on, but we're just not sure how that works. Do we need the dimensions of the boxes? What kind of paint? I mean, we have a lot of questions. We'll need to develop a process for the selection. How will we pay the artists? And in addition to that, we just have a number of questions, and I think we submitted many of them to Caltrans recently. I mean, it's an ongoing project that we'll keep working on, but there are a number of questions we have about how this is all going to work.
Yes, some of the questions are very, I have a question that covers 3 questions. It's about drafting the preliminary proposal, drafting the maintenance agreement, and we need drafting the copyright assignment and transfer agreement, which basically is that the artists have to let go of their artwork and not sue Caltrans if the art is damaged. And so I have to come to think to the question that perhaps maybe we have to talk with a lawyer specialized in intellectual properties that can help us with that, or maybe Caltrans has like a skeleton of the drafts already. They have some so that we can just plug in information. So that's some of the questions that I am thinking about. Yeah, so it's a lot of questions. So we'll keep in touch. We'll keep informing the community about as we evolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Are there comments from the council?
Through the chair, I just want to add that Supervisor Gorin is in much support of this project. And there's a pending conversation with Artiscape. I believe your council had identified Artiscape as your partner to, from the beginning of this project. And she's identified a couple other projects that she wants Artiscape to partner with her office through the Spring SMAC. In terms of funding, the funding will come through Supervisor Gorin's office for this project, as well as other projects. And I did mention to her that we have identified 4 Comcast boxes. We're still waiting on Caltrans, but the hope is that initially we can fund 2 Comcast, 2 Caltrans boxes to get this project on the road. I think you're thinking a little bit too much into it, Jesus. It's not as complicated as you think. There's a lot of paperwork, but it's not as complicated as you think. The good news is you have Supervisor Gorin's support doing the work, but we will get this moving. Again, we are pending a conversation with Artiscape for the 2 projects so we can sort of get them rolling at the same time. And we appreciate the Spring SMAC support with, recruiting the community and getting the artists and all that stuff. So thank you for all the work.
We forwarded the questions to Joaquin.
Yes.
I don't know if we got a response.
I think they were waiting on your schedule to free up a little bit to meet the 3 of you.
Oh,
and
so he
then-
wanted the questions and then for us to meet.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. All right, Jesus, we need to find a time. Okay. All right. Public comment on the utility box project. Mr. Larson.
Well, hi. I talked with the people that I know, and there's no AT&T communication boxes on that 12. So they're kind of like out of the picture. But, working in that industry, there's a lot of things that are identification numbers that are on those boxes that, like if you get dispatched because there's an outage, you have to go and find that box, and it has, what the box is and what you're looking for. So there's some things that you can't paint over, just, as knowledge, but it sounds like, Comcast is the one that you have to solicit, and then the county with all their single changing boxes. So I just wanted to put that out.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Any other further comment or Jack?
In terms of the concern that you had about copyright, having to hand that over, thankfully the base level of that is very much, hello, I'm an artist. Yes, I'm rescinding this for this specific purpose. Thankfully, that is more straightforward than I thought it was, because I was reading about this out of curiosity if things were the same here as they were in Europe, and yes, they are. It's an international thing. So if you want, I have some resources that I could share with Karina to then pass on to you if that's of any use, using my degree at last for something.
Oh. Thank you, Jack. Okay. All right. I just want to, we have so many partners that help us get these projects done. Caltrans, Comcast, Artscape, Sonoma Immigrant Services has been an outstanding partner through all of the work that we do. Anytime we say, will you do this? They automatically, there's always a yes on the other end of the line. So thank you to them and Artscape as well. We will we'll turn this into a resolution item for the next agenda where we will vote on the highway and remove the Springs Community Plaza ad hoc. And at that point, the community picnic will have a final presentation on that. And then we'll have an update on the others as well. All right, thank you. Okay, we're gonna go back. And I know we're gonna see how far we can get on this one. We wanted to have a conversation about just some norms and expectations on how we interact with public comment. We have county council on the line, Petra. I would not do your last name justice, so I'm not going to even try. She's available. We have long meetings. We have eliminated the reading of public comment. I'm always want to be inclusive of people who can't be here for whatever reason, but it's just gotten too lengthy because our council meetings are really well attended and people have a lot to say. The guidelines need to conform with the Brown Act. We're trying to scale down the number of meeting items. July is scaled down significantly. We want to continue to offer space for the community to participate and engage. The agenda items will continue to be timed as best as we can. Sometimes they go longer. We're trying to put items that we anticipate a lot of public comment and engagement. We try to make those the singular item or put some smaller items around it. Again, public comment, it will not be read, but we will mention that we received public comment. We did have a couple of ideas, these are drafty ideas, but just an opportunity to start the conversation about what we think is important to this council moving forward. We did have a couple of events in one of our meetings that kind of prompted this. The term of what I can't remember what it's being used, conduct of civility or I prefer norms or expectations or agreements. So that's where we are, and that's the introduction of the item and what we think we need to put in writing for people. I know most school boards do have agreements about how they work with one another. A lot of boards do, so it's an opportunity for us. Yes, sorry, I forgot to say that part. Yes, any comments from the council?
I think that's why we were all staring at you.
Sorry, I like.
Second in command. I think if you lead.
Plus, it's on another board that norms are needed possibly more than ours. So I feel like her guidance would be very helpful.
You know, I love public comment probably more than anyone in this entire town. I learned from the best Herb Gollenpool, may you rest in peace, you were the champion. But yeah, so every public meeting has its norms and expectations. And I think it's really important for the public to always be able to come and communicate their concerns, to communicate even their feelings. I always tell people that I will be the first person to champion for people's 3 minutes to tell me how much I suck. Like I will champion that forever. That being said, I mean, there's like basic expectations of what I consider to be right common courtesy. We don't go into any meeting and drop 40 F-bombs, right? But we can convey, in other words, our concerns, our displeasure, our, whatever our feelings are without, behaving in a way that we wouldn't in a meeting of any meeting that we would go to, right? So again, I will always champion for people's 3 minutes to come tell me how absolutely terrible I am and how much they don't like my personality or disagree with me. However, I think that there has to be certain expectations and the words that one chooses to do that. And so I think that's very standard. I don't think there's anything unusual about what we're proposing. It's in alignment with every board I've ever sat on and every public meeting I've ever attended as the public in utilizing my 3 minutes. And I've been doing it for, over a decade, and I often have feelings about things and I don't drop F-bombs on people. But I do get my point across in my perspective on a particular agenda item. And so I'm always happy to help guide people in how to utilize their 3 minutes or how public comment works. I think that that's another piece too that we can consider. One of the things that we do on another board I sit on is we have a little info sheet that's there for people when they come in, explaining to people what public comment is and how it works, right? Because I think it's really intimidating and I think it's very brave for someone to get up to a podium and for 3 minutes speak to a body of people who are all staring at them and then have a live television feed going. I think it takes a very brave person to stand up and do that. And there may be people who want to do that, but maybe don't know how it works, right? And so I think having that information sheet when people come in the door is really helpful for people. And then on there, you place your norms and your agreement. I like agreements. I have to agree. I really like agreements because we're all making an agreement, right? So I'd like to suggest that we have a little half sheet that we keep at the door. I think it's really helpful for people who are new to public comment to be able to exercise the right to public comment.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you're suggesting. I think public comment is really an important part of our democracy and needs to stay fully intact. I'm going to make a suggestion, and I knew I was like, no, don't create another ad hoc, but I am going to ask that we create another ad hoc because I think a group agreement on this at 9 o'clock at night is really hard, but I think it's an opportunity for a couple of people to put something in writing, and we could even look at what already exists in other spaces and bring something back to the council at the next meeting. Joe, do you want to say something?
I'm 100% down to be on that ad hoc. I do think there are, I come from a nonprofit, private business, and our board meetings are very much to the time limits. And I think there is a way to recognize everyone, but also I think there is a lot of part of the term, a lot of fat that we can cut out of these meetings by just cleaning up some procedural stuff and setting norms. I think will keep us from, what it's so that they're to that roundabout of trying to go back and forth and just moving forward. So I would love to be on that ad hoc.
Okay. Well, the party of one. Is there somebody who is willing to join?
Definitely. I like structure and I like recipes. I also enjoy when if something's not on the agenda, it is not discussed. And especially if someone puts time on your calendar and has no agenda, you politely decline. So I'm very much on board with contributing to the conversation and also learning a thing or two. So yes, you can count me in.
Joe, I'm also happy to help you with that, being the queen of public comment and the queen of the Brown Act. I'm happy to throw my nerd hat in there for you.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like we got an ad hoc. We'll figure out time to.
All righty. So now we need to vote on our ad hoc. A motion to initiate the the agreement writing ad hoc with Joe, Celeste, and Jack. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, if the next meeting may be a draft? Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
all right. All right. Future agenda items. Are we suggesting a special meeting for the budget on the 22nd? June. The fiscal year ends on the 30th. We think it'll be a quick meeting.
I can't do the 22nd.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
I'll need to check my calendar.
The other offering would be the 21st.
So Chair Torrey, I just want to chime in real quick. The reason that this is being suggested is to give the council an opportunity to discuss where your money is being spent, how you guys can save, or how you guys can continue to fund and sponsor community projects and community events. Given the work that you've accomplished this past fiscal year. So it's important to advocate for more funding if you so choose, or decide where you want to shift those funds.
Thank you. When's your board meeting? Is it the 22nd? You? I thought yours was on Thursday.
I have one tomorrow and
The
then
15th.
yeah, and then I don't have another one until July.
Okay, so I heard one can't make it on the 22nd.
I can't do the 21st either. That is Boys and Girls Club board meeting. It also is just reminder that is the Caltrans public meeting
Yeah. So that won't
on the
work.
21st.
Yep, okay. So if others can make it at the 22nd, are you okay with us proceeding?
Yes.
Okay. Jesus, can you make it on the 22nd?
I'm not sure. Next week is super busy. I'm super busy, and would it be in the afternoon? Yeah, right. I'm assuming.
It's really up to you, council. I'm assuming in the evening for the majority of you with your work schedules. And just a reminder, it only takes a quorum to have a special meeting. So if the majority, can attend, then you, as long as you have a quorum, then you can have a special meeting. And it's only one item, so it should be.
Can we do it on, can we do this one in a Zoom meeting?
Unfortunately not. It needs to be in person with
Okay.
a hybrid option.
Okay. Jack, can you make the 22nd?
Yes.
Muddy? Iris?
Yeah, just what time are we talking about?
6:30 probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. Are you okay with us meeting if you are not available? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Can we do it here? Have you been able to check on this space?
I wasn't sure on the date, but I will gladly look for you guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, so more will be revealed on this one. We're looking at the 22nd, but we'll see what happens. Okay. On the 12th, we have EDB, Ethan Brown, Marcos Suarez. The Chamber of Commerce, Mark Bodenheimer, and ad hoc updates. So it'll be short and sweet. on August 9th. Oh, Mr. Larson left. Road paving is on the agenda, how funds are used, how roads are identified. We're working on getting a presentation on that. CBLN, Springs Map Your Neighborhood, Springs Fire Safe Council. We thought it would be a good time in August for fire updates. And again, ad hoc updates. So that's coming up in the future. I said we are starting to identify our September, October, November, December. We are very popular. We have become very popular. So people like to come here now. So it's good news for us. Chief Aker will be here on the 3rd in September. Mental health in October. So that's where we are. Any comments or additions to the agenda or anything that you're hearing out there that needs to be addressed? Joe, you want to start?
Yeah, I just, I do want to bring it back around, something you brought up earlier in the meeting. We don't need to do anything about it right now, but I feel like I maybe brought this up at one point in my, probably like my 3rd meeting, because I got my feet underneath me. I love the idea of really setting attainable goals and working through a few goals at a time, achieving what we're trying to achieve, and then adding to the next goal instead of having 15 goals at once and not really making any way forward with any of them. So I just wanted to high five that on the mic. I love that.
Okay, we'll bring that to a future agenda as quickly as possible. I think it's important. Thank you. Celeste?
Nope, I'm good.
Iris?
We have not received any updates on the Matson from the county. I don't know if there's anything to update. I'm just wondering about that. Also, I am frustrated. I've talked to a couple of neighbors and I talked to someone tonight about the apartment buildings that the low-income seniors housing that's being built basically behind, I could say.
The movie theaters over there?
To the, there. Yeah. People don't know what's going on. And I know it was in a meeting and I wish we could get better, the word out, for more of those things. So people did understand what's going on around here, because the comments I received were, oh, they're ugly. What is that? It's, and I'm saying, hey, this is a great thing. It's low income senior housing. In fact, I told one of my friends that she should apply for it. And she was like, ooh, she didn't know it was what it was. She said, I can't afford that. Just looking at it. So, better press if we can. More in the IT, if possible, and the sun.
Thank you. Mari Carmen?
No, the only thing I was considering is that I know it's Pride Month, so reaching out to positive images or LGBTQ connections, and so we can maybe close, our meeting with that today in honor of Pride Month. We should have had someone, especially with all the mental health going on with children and youth, and their development, stages and finding support.
Maybe we can include them in the October 11th with the mental health meeting. We've had them here before. I think we had.
I don't remember exactly.
We had LGBTQ connections, I think. Positive images. We work with them in Petaluma. See if they're. Jack?
No considerations at this time.
Thank you. Jesus?
I'd like to see if maybe if somebody from the Hannah Center will kind of explain us a little bit about their new mental health resource clinic.
It's in October. We have them
Oh.
scheduled for October.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, can we close with something that's not identified on the agenda?
You can adjourn to any,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, just checking.
Just real quick, Chair.
Because as
for-
soon as if I said yes, then I'd be told no. So I want to be sure that I asked the question before.
Yeah. Just for consideration to piggyback on what Joe brought up about goals. I think I've brought this up before where I think you guys need to have an annual meeting about timeline of events, stuff that is happening every year that you want to continue sponsoring, things that might come up. And keep in mind you do an annual report, so that would also help with your annual report. So maybe for next year, consider adding an item in your April, May agenda for your next fiscal year. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, we seem to have a really packed agenda. The only place I see fitting, the place I see fitting this in would be in September. For now. Because, but I agree, needs to be an ongoing conversation. Okay, Iris, Iris has something to share.
Okay, this came through actually, a person that works at Reader's Books. Excuse me, their name is Petal, and it's titled "A Flag by Any Color Would Fly as High." Happy Pride Month to all. LGBTQ plus Pride Month is a worldwide celebration during the month of June for gender and sexual minority communities, including lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, asexual, intersex, two-spirit, and more. This month in particular commemorates the Stonewall riots of June 1969 in New York City and the first Pride Parade that followed the next year. We have an awesome picture book I thoroughly recommend, Pride, the Story of Harvey Milk and the Rainbow Flag, that tells this history. And you can order it by clicking on the book title. And that is at Reader's Books. The first rainbow flag, created by Gilbert Baker in 1979, had 8 colors with corresponding meanings: hot pink, sex; red, life; orange, healing; yellow, sunlight; green, nature; turquoise, magic and art; indigo, serenity; and violet, spirit. Due to cost, the fabric availability, and logistics, the flag was changed to only 6 colors, saying goodbye to hot pink and turquoise. Newer versions of the flag have incorporated brown and black lines, as well as the trans flag and intersex symbol. The Pride flag is an interesting lens into the queer community, and the way the Pride flag has evolved reminds me of the coming out process many transgender people experience. As many names in our culture are gendered, transgender, or trans people frequently go through the process of changing their names, and it's often a very personal and powerful story. In my case, they made a subtle change at first to go by a nickname very similar to my birth name, until recently when I started going by Petal. Petals are soft and delicate. They are never alone, being one of many, and none of my petals are love-me-nots. When someone uses my preferred chosen name and they them pronouns, it reinforces the choice I made to become more fully myself and shows their respect for that choice. While I do not ask that people not to use my birth name, I understand when others stumble over my chosen name or pronouns. After all, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Just as we change, so do our symbols. The history of the LGBTQ plus flag changing is a comfort to those of us in the queer community that we are allowed to continue to change even after our coming out. I love being trans and the knowledge that I am always in transition, so I will never stop fully becoming who I am. Please be patient and accepting when someone changes their name or pronouns, and try in earnest to make the change too. I think acceptance of change is one of the many gifts and lessons the LGBTQ plus community has to offer. And that was long, but I thought it's lovely.
Thank you, Iris. Appreciate that. All right. In honor of Pride Month, we adjourn this meeting. Can I get a motion to, let me thank everyone, KSVY, Lynn Marie, SVUSD, Carlos and Betsy. Happy birthday again to Iris. Thank you, Karina and Susan Gorin's offices for all their support. And thank you to all of you and our audience. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn, or
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Have a beautiful week, everyone. Thank you.